Hi Libby, okay, here is your spread, and we're in a different setting today because I am out of town, but here is your spread. And so what we're going to do is first we're going to see where we are, what you did with the majority of your time, an important day, another important day, the death, and the lesson learned. And we'll get hints of the time period throughout, but also it's your job to make connections where you can, and I'll help you along the way, but you want to make connections from this life to your current life, all right? And so we're going to start, and already I can put this to the side because we're going to we're going to the Atlantis Lemuria card. So we know this is way back in the ancient times, and I'm getting a strong pull towards Atlantis, okay? And so Atlantis is more of a progressive, maybe aggressive energy, which does not mean it's bad at all. It just means that there's kind of more action going on here. And this is, when I was laying it out, it was really interesting what was coming through. And so I want to move to what you did with the majority of your time, okay? So this is the science card, and it doesn't mean that you necessarily were in the sciences. It could mean that you had a scientific mind. It can mean a lot of things. So these cards shouldn't be taken exactly at face value. And so what I'm getting here, though, is that you were working. I can tell you were working with a group of people. There is definitely a strong connection with a group of people who found each other by going towards an interest that they couldn't help but kind of be what's it called, pulled towards, like a magnet. Like, these are people that grew up with a powerful tug towards something that interested them, that eventually led to a career. I don't know if they had careers back in these days, but it led to a lifetime of doing something together, working together. And there's a strong feeling that this has to do with creating energy, not creating, because energy can't be created nor destroyed, but it was having to do with utilizing energy, in a way that we haven't found yet today. I feel like there's a technological aspect involved here, and it could very well be energy as in energy that we can pull in through our intuition, or energy we can utilize kind of like with crystals, something with crystals, okay? So I feel like we're talking about not fuel kind of energy, but energy as in the stuff we're made of. And I feel like this group it wasn't so much like an underground, like, coven of witches that use energy, nothing like that. I feel like this group was actually a group that was like respected, a group that worked higher up, that was known, almost like a I guess a team of scientists that used energy in their work that really, it was very valuable. There's something very valuable about this. Not everyone knew how to do this. So, for example, how you make connections would be, one, in this life, you can have a very scientific mind. In this life, you can be someone who moves towards group work. You could be so for example, you could be someone that likes the idea of joining a sorority or a fraternity or a society, or some kind of club. You might be someone that really likes that. Now, on the flip side, how a connection can work is that you could be someone in this life who wants to avoid groups because you already spent so much time in this lifetime in a group that now in your current life you could be someone that wants to explore a more solo existence. So that's how you can make connections, okay? So let's move along and see what's going on here. I feel like you were a male in this life. You were a male, I want to say, so I'm just going to tell you what the images because what I'm doing is connecting with your energy, and so I get images and impressions from this. And this is a man that was, I want to say, like 5'11", right at like the cusp of 6 feet. So it's this tall. He's lean, not very built, but lean. Kind of what's the word? Like not gawky, but like someone that was gawky as a teenager and grew into that kind of like lean frame. Dark hair, and just pretty typical. It's like what we would consider like a typical, nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing out of the ordinary. And I'm seeing like the hair is kind of long, I guess what we would consider long on a man, kind of like mid-length to like ear jaw kind of thing going on. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Okay, first important day, let's do it. So here we have the move, let's go card. Now this can mean a few things. It can mean that someone has to flee, they have to move, or simply they are just moving. And the relationship involved is the child card, and then the feelings involved is betrayal. So what comes to mind altogether, what it plays out as, is there is a time here that you have a very passionate affair with a woman, and I want to say that you believed it to be love, even to the extent where you believed it to be like a monogamous thing heading towards a partnership union of a lifetime. There's a feeling of really giving over feelings, giving over emotions to this woman, opening up a trust, and there's a feeling of her getting pregnant and her utilizing the child against you. It's very interesting because this obviously isn't happening in one day, but this is the day of realization of what occurred. And I want to say that there was a manipulative situation involved from the get-go, almost like she targeted you, she manipulated you into love, she had your child, and then I feel like there's a manipulation situation where she is dangling the child like bait, almost like she's like there's a threat that she will leave if you don't do what she says, if you don't act how she says. I feel like she comes from people who almost set her up for this, and I feel like this, it's really interesting. I feel like what is this? So I feel like I want to say with your connection in your current life, something about using femininity or not using femininity might call to you. So how, I guess what I mean is, as a woman, you either might be a woman who really knows how to use her femininity and appreciates it in a way that this woman did in order to kind of be on the other side of this, or you're a woman today who is almost maybe a feminist to the point where it's the kind of thing where you don't like the idea of women using their femininity to get what they want, in a way. I guess no one really likes, manipulation, but there's something about femininity and using femininity as a manipulation tool, if that speaks to you. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, if you have issues in this life with trusting a partner or trusting people, it could very well come from here, where it might take you a real long time to warm up to the idea of opening up and trusting someone to such an extent. On the other hand, because of the manipulation that took place here, you could be someone who almost falls too hard too quickly because you're so desperate to find that someone who can prove your soul wrong in what it experienced here. Almost like it's holding on to like a grudge in a way, where it's like I trusted this person and they screwed me over, but I really you know what, I really can do this. I really believe in love. I really believe this can happen. Let's do it. Let's find that person. Let's do it. I wasn't wrong. It's still out there. So keep that in mind. See how it can work by making connections in these different kind of opposite ways. So let's go up here. Let's see what we got. I honestly feel like she left you here. Like she left you, but she's still dangling the child. And I think that's what we're looking at here. And I feel like it does have to do with your position, because I feel like your position is where today, if someone's working with energy in this way, they might not make a lot of money, they might not have a lot of respect in the community, no one might pay attention to them, but I feel like this here, in this world, in this life, it was almost like you lived a very comfortable life because of what you were able to do. I feel like your intelligence was so valued. And in this current life, you might be someone who really values your own intelligence. You might be someone who values learning. Yeah. So, on the flip side though, let me just say too, when there's intelligence involved like this, at this level of intelligence, you could be someone who actually struggles academically in this life because of the trouble your intelligence got you in this life. And so in your current life, you could be someone who wants to stay away from that kind of, those kinds of issues. And so you decided in this life to come in where you don't want to be academically recognized. So it could be flipped either way. All right, let's go to the next important day. Okay, so this is the so long, farewell, until we meet again card. That means there is a parting of some sort. This is the soul group card for your relationship, and this is just rolling right along, peaceful. So what I'm getting right away, I really feel like you took your child and left in order to give your child a good upbringing and to have a relationship with her and to get her away from this kind of manipulative narcissist in a way. I think what I'm getting is a feeling of getting up and going, and the people that knew about this, the only people, were your close group of people that worked with you. I feel like each of you gave weight to each other's life in some way. And I feel like the soul group we're looking at are the people you work with here. And I feel like this soul group in your current life, if you have a close-knit group of friends that you can rely on, almost like your tribe, so to speak, I feel like those people were looking at some similar souls here, and you travel together throughout lives. You might have friends that if you think about it, you feel like you've known them before, or you feel like you were able to trust them right away. Those are the people we're looking for this soul group, if you have those. And if not, you might be someone who feels like they're out there, or feels like you should have a group like that and are looking for one. And you can find them. We can always find, they always come up in the oddest ways. You don't even realize it until after the fact, after you form the friendship, and then you're like, oh, I feel like I've known this person. Those are the people that are part of our soul group. So I feel like these people are actually helping you, in a sense, escape, because they might not have the same legal system as we do today, but it still is frowned upon to be technically kidnapping a child, from a mother. And the feelings of peace here is the fact that you did accomplish this. You did a good job. And in your current life, you might be someone you could be someone who's all about justice, who's all about doing what is right. Like, screw the laws. This is what's right. You might be someone that feels that way, and it could be because of this. You can also be someone who's actually quite strategic. And, strategic intelligence and academic intelligence are different. It's kind of like common sense versus academia, that kind of thing. It's a different kind of intelligence. And that might be more you. You might be someone where you could be a detective, like someone who is strategic and, just kind of can find their way out of a situation if they need to. And I feel like you left. And I feel like there was something about crossing water to get away, because you wanted to make sure you went far. I feel like there was a disconnect between these people in this life. It was almost like it had to be a final farewell, at least for a very long time, to get this child away. And so in your current life, if you have a child, you might be very protective or possessive over that child. Even if you don't have children, you might be very possessive or protective over a sibling, over young people. You might be someone who gets very anxious, a lot of anxiety when you read articles about young children being abused, or young children being withholden from their family, or you might have a soft spot for orphans, or anything that has to do with odd situations with children where they're not getting the upbringing that you believe they should. So keep that in mind as well. If you're a softie for kids. On the flip side, you might be someone who doesn't want children because of the hardship you had to go through here. So there are those connections that you can make. Now let's go to the death, because I feel like your wealth and intelligence really just you were able to sit on it and kind of utilize it wherever you went. I feel like you were accepted. I feel like you went somewhere, you knew there was another place, a city far away, and you just showed your credentials and showed them what you could do, and you were just, boom, you were in, and everything was fine. Everything turned out fine. The only thing that lingers is missing this group that you worked with, because everything here is so smooth, everything went so well. It's almost like you can work together without speaking, if that makes sense. Just reading each other's minds in a sense. Okay, so the death happened in this new place you went to. You died there at an older age. It's an older age. And you were able to watch your child, which was a daughter, and you were able to watch her grow up and blossom. And I feel like I'm seeing her find a partner, have children of her own, so there's grandchildren involved for you, and living near enough that you're quite satisfied and you have a good relationship with this child. And I feel like the companionship you may have found for yourself either didn't last long or wasn't very deep. You may have had partners after that, but I feel like you did not form a union with anyone after that because of certain trust issues, and also to protect your daughter. Very protective feelings. So the death is actually an age death. This is the disease card, but there's nothing, we're not talking like a hardcore disease. We're talking a disease of the mind at an older age. We're talking about a disease that made you tired, a disease that made you winded easily, as in short of breath. And I see you passing in a sitting up position, and it's actually kind of peaceful. It's the kind of death that we kind of hope to have, where you take a breath and you're gone. And how that can relate to you in your current life is you could be someone who is easily fatigued for no reason. You could be someone who has a shortness of breath, something that has to do with breathing or respiratory. You can also be someone who might be absent-minded. If you find that you're absent-minded for some reason, it could be because of this, because I feel like the mind was affected. It became foggy in some sense. And also, just check into to see if you have any genetic things happening with aging diseases. Age diseases like Alzheimer's, age diseases that come with age. So just check genetics, can't hurt, right? Or maybe you already know what's in your family. So that is your death, which is quite a nice death for some of the ones I've seen here. And the lesson is a nice one. This is the Dream Big card. This is the Dream Big card because you really did allow yourself to go after what you wanted, even though it might have brought you kind of, situations that were really tough for you in your heart. So, I mean, you really, this love for you, it was a big love. It was a really big love, and it really got messed up, and it was because of her, but you really allowed yourself to live in the dream of being in love with someone, having a child with someone. You had the dream of a family and you really went for it. And you ended up having a beautiful relationship with this child. So I feel like you really accomplished it, because not only that, but these people, you know, to leave this work for someone you loved for another, that's a big thing too. You really went for it because you had to dream of another life out there that could be safe and good for both you and the child involved, and you went for it. And not only that, but the fact that you got to where you got here, you didn't do that by accident. You had dreams of following and pursuing your passion, and you did that here. And so I feel like a message for you from this Dream Big card is to not limit yourself. Don't allow yourself to feel held back. Don't allow yourself to make excuses for things you want to do. Maybe the things you want to do don't sit well with the people around you, or maybe you were raised in a way that makes it so that your dreams might sound or feel silly to your own ears, but they're still dreams and you have to pay attention to them. They're your dreams for a reason. So I feel like the message for you is, if you're considering something, if there's a dream you want to go after, whatever it may be, at least take some steps towards it. At least venture into it and get rid of the initial fear you might have, or any anxiety you might have, or try to get rid of any judgment you might be feeling from others or yourself. You know, like that ego likes to judge us. They like to control us through judgment, self-judgment. Don't let that happen. If you have a dream, at least take a step towards it and feel it out and see what that might be. Because that could make you very happy. And that's the whole point, is to be excited, be pursuing your excitement and your happiness in this life. Okay? So I feel like that is really the main message for you. And there's your past life. And I hope you enjoyed it.